The sweet truth. A 48-year-old black CEO stepped in her own luxury hotel and was told, "We're full. Guests only." She didn't argue. She made one phone call, and everything changed. She didn't come looking for luxury. No red carpet, no champagne flute, no grand welcome. Just a key, a warm bed, one quiet night to reset before a board meeting she hadn't originally planned to attend in person. But when Simone Barrett walked through the revolving glass doors of the Arlington Grand Hotel in Des Moines, Iowa, what greeted her wasn't warmth. It was something all too familiar. She moved with a quiet confidence that didn't need to prove itself. Her soft leather loafers made no sound on the marble floor. Tailored slacks, not flashy. A dusty blue silk blouse, clean, elegant, but simple. A well-used canvas duffel over one shoulder. No assistant. No entourage. To any outsider, she could have been anyone. Behind the front desk, a young receptionist chewed on the end of her pen, acrylic nails tapping absent-mindedly on the keyboard. She glanced up, offered a trained smile, the kind reserved for someone you're about to turn away. "Checking in?" she asked. Simone smiled politely. "Yes. Barrett. Simone Barrett." The girl's fingers danced across the keys, then froze. "I don't see any reservation under that name," she said, brows furrowing. "I'm sorry, Mom. We're actually at full capacity tonight." "That's all right," Simone said gently. "There's a suite always held open for me." The receptionist stiffened slightly. "Well, we are fully booked. It's policy, guests only." Simone didn't drop her smile, but the air shifted. She looked past the girl to the gold-lettered plaque behind her, the Arlington Grand, a Barrett property. Her name wasn't just on the reservation. It was on the building. "I'm a guest," she said softly. "More than that, I own this hotel." The girl blinked. For a moment, she looked stunned, like Simone had claimed to be royalty. Then, a skeptical smirk tugged at her lips. "You own the Arlington?" Simone nodded, calm as ever. "I'm going to have to call the manager," the receptionist said, already reaching for the desk phone. "Go ahead," Simone said. Across the lobby, a man in golf attire glanced up. A woman at the fireplace tilted her head. Simone felt it, the tension creeping in, the moment when people make a silent judgment. Moments later, a tall man with a crooked tie and clipboard appeared. His badge read Assistant Manager, Trevor Knox. He looked at Simone, smiled with forced warmth. "Good evening. Is there a problem with your reservation?" "She claims to own the hotel," the receptionist said, loud enough for the lobby to hear. Simone met his eyes. "I don't claim. I do. My name is Simone Barrett. You'll find it on every executive memo and quarterly report." "I'll need just a moment, please," Trevor said, already turning, muttering into his walkie-talkie. Simone stood still. She didn't raise her voice, didn't fidget, but she felt the familiar burn in her chest, the one that came not from being rejected, but from being doubted. Again, security appeared next, not aggressive, just present. One by the elevators, another by the lobby cafe. Message received. She could have pulled out her ID, could have shown ownership papers, emails, photos from the ribbon cutting. But she didn't. She stepped back, pulled out her phone, and made a single call. "I've been denied access to my own property. I need this resolved immediately." Call duration, 26 seconds. At the desk, Trevor returned, now pale. He carried a folder, glanced nervously at Simone, then at the receptionist. "MS. Barrett," he said, emphasizing her name now. "I believe there's been a misunderstanding." "You can verify all you want," Simone said evenly. "I'm not moving." Staff froze. The tension that once centered around her began ricocheting inward. Guests whispered. The receptionist typed, her fingers twitchy, probably Googling her name. Simone noticed it all. The whispers. The stares. She remembered being 28 in another hotel lobby in Milwaukee, newly promoted, blisters and heels too tight, followed by security the moment she stepped in. She hadn't forgotten. And now, 20 years later, she was still explaining herself. In a hotel with her name on the building. Then, the elevator dinged. Two men stepped out. One in a gray suit, the other in a fleece branded with the company's logo. They walked with urgency. Simone recognized them instantly. Regional VP Miles Hart and District Manager Jordan Rivera. Miles reached her first. MS. Barrett, we are so sorry. I just got the call. Jordan added, breathless, we're handling this immediately. Trevor tried to speak, but Miles silenced him with a look. The penthouse suite is ready, Jordan said, checking his tablet. Your driver's been rerouted. Fruit tray and espresso will be waiting. Simone gave the faintest nod. Thank you. But she wasn't done watching. She wanted to see the shift, how faces changed once they knew your title. She watched the receptionist's smirk evaporate. Her face turned ghostly pale. Simone stepped to the counter. I'll take the 12th floor suite. Same setup. Have someone check it's clean. Of course, Trevor stammered. Have I been checked in? Just completed, Miles said. 2 keys and a written report will be ready by the time you reach the elevator. And the rest. All staff are being notified, Jordan answered. An internal audit begins tonight. Mandatory protocol retraining. HR is already on site. Simone glanced at the receptionist, still biting the inside of her cheek. Her acrylic nails now tapped anxiously. You'll speak to her? Simone asked. Miles nodded. Yes, ma'am. Privately. With HR present. I'll speak to her too, Simone added. Not now. After I've rested. Then, with both key cards in hand, she walked to the elevator. Some guests whispered. Others watched in silence. Simone didn't look back. Upstairs, the suite smelled of lemon and eucalyptus. Espresso pods beside the machine. A rushed handwritten card with her initials on the table. This wasn't just a room. It was her story. She remembered being 33, pitching the first Barrett property to a skeptical bank. They barely listened, offered insulting terms, practically dared her to succeed. She had, and now, 2 decades later, she still had to prove it. Her phone buzzed. A message from her assistant. Everything in motion. Let me know if you want a media statement. She paused. 1 tweet would have gone viral. 1 interview. Headlines everywhere. But she wasn't after rage or revenge. She wanted respect, and that couldn't be demanded. It had to be understood. That night, room service brought espresso and a handwritten note from the kitchen manager. An offer for a massage therapist on the house. Simone thanked the young server softly. She stood at the window, lights of Des Moines flickering faintly in the distance. And she felt something shift, not just in the hotel, in herself. At 6:30 a.m., Simone descended the elevator. This time, not as a guest. As the CEO. Charcoal suit. Ivory blouse. Heels echoing across the marble lobby. Staff stilled. She passed the concierge and walked directly into the executive conference room, where Miles, Jordan, HR rep Marta, Trevor, and the receptionist, Kayla Mendez, were already waiting. Simone didn't sit. Would someone like to explain what happened last night? Kayla looked down. Trevor opened his mouth, but said nothing. Simone waited. Finally, Kayla whispered, I just didn't expect. You didn't look like someone who owns this building? Simone finished. Kayla nodded barely. Was I rude to you? No, ma'am. Did I raise my voice? No. Did I threaten anyone? No. Simone exhaled softly. I don't need this to be a firing squad, but I do need accountability. Carlos spoke up. We're issuing a formal write-up. Kayla's off the front desk until she completes retraining. Trevor is under review. Simone nodded. How long have you worked here? She asked Kayla. For months. And in that time, did you ever think about who built this hotel? I assumed it was a company. Some investors. I've built 17 properties across the country, Simone said. Every one of them built with intention. Hospitality that sees people. Do you understand why I'm tired of walking into my own lobbies and being made invisible? Kayla blinked, guilt spreading across her face. Jordan spoke. We've drafted a memo, mandatory inclusivity training, every Barrett property. Make sure it's not just another checkbox, Simone said. I want understanding, not memorized scripts. Brent nodded. We'll make it real. Simone left the meeting without flourish. But before she left the hotel, there was one more thing to do. She waited until the morning rush passed. No distractions. No excuses. She found Kayla alone in the staff lounge, half a muffin in front of her, eyes tired. Simone entered quietly. Kayla sat up, startled. "Relax," Simone said. "I just want to talk." They sat in silence for a moment. "Have you ever worked somewhere that made you feel small?" Simone asked. Kayla nodded. "Yeah. A diner out by I-80. Wore a paper hat. Got yelled at. People call me kid. I was 27. So you know what it feels like to be ignored," Simone said. Kayla nodded again. "Then help me understand why you looked me in the eye last night and decided I didn't belong." Kayla was quiet. "I didn't mean to. You didn't look like someone who owns hotels." Kayla didn't answer. "That's the problem," Simone said. "People have a picture in their heads, and I don't fit it." "I'm sorry," Kayla whispered. "I'm not here for an apology," Simone said. "I want you to see me, not just as your boss, as a person. I started as a receptionist, got mistaken for a janitor, called sweetheart while I ran payroll behind the scenes. Every day, I decided whether to fight or let it go. When I got into the boardroom, I told myself, I'll build places where people like you can grow." Kayla's eyes widened. "You really started as a receptionist?" "In St. Paul," Simone smiled. "First boss said I sounded too educated to be on the phone. Moved me to night audit. That's unreal." "It shouldn't be," Simone said. "It should be normal." She stood. "Start by seeing everyone who walks through that door. Old, young, dressed up or not. Dignity first. Every time." Kayla nodded. "Thank you for talking to me." As Simone walked out of the lounge, something felt lighter. She had planted something, and maybe, just maybe, it would grow.